Good morning. Today our class is a practical class based on concept of OOPs using Java, and later we will learn how to create class and create its objects. Now before that we are uh, we are study our previous class once again. Now the concept of OOPs, object oriented programming. We all know that Java is a object-oriented programming language. So Java fulfill all the criteria of object-oriented programming, and we know that object-oriented programming concept based on the principle of abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. The principle of abstraction, that is data hiding, encapsulation, to encapsulate data in a particular confinement, and inheritance or polymorphism we already discussed in our previous class. So our main objective is to how we follow these principles using the object oriented programming language like Java. Now whenever we want to understand the details of this object oriented concept, we have to know the two things clearly. I already explained the class and object. We already know that object-oriented programming is a methodology to design a program using classes and object. Now, what is classes and what its object? Classes or class is a user-defined prototype or blueprint or user-defined data type which used to create object. So class represent a set of properties or methods and that are common to all the objects of one type. That means the object those belongs to a particular class have some properties and methods, and they have all such properties and methods that is common for them. So we can say that class is a prototype to create object, or object is the instance of a class. Details already discussed in my previous class. So what is the basic objectives of OOPs? The basic objective of OOPs is to create objects, reuse them throughout the program, and manipulate these objects to get the result. That means we have to create the object, and the object will be created from a class. That means we have to define the class. After that we have to create the object, and we use that object throughout our program and manipulates its data, methods, properties, and we will find our result. So this is the basic object of object oriented programmings or object oriented concept, as Java is the most famous object oriented programming or language. So that's why we use Java to create object, and then we use that object, or we reuse that object throughout our Java program and manipulate this object to get the result. Now this is the basic concept of class and object. Now what's the how we define the class? Now whenever we want to understand the class and object in our real-time world, so we have to find here example. Suppose car is the class, that means a prototype. So class car have some properties and methods. So whenever we create some object from this class, suppose a car name is Ford and another car name is Toyota. So Ford have the same properties and methods which already defined in class car. Similarly, Toyota is another object which have the same properties and methods which already defined in class car. So this is one of the example of class and its objects. So here we define the class and create two object, object 1 Ford and object 2 Toyota. Similarly, for the class like dog, we can create three objects, dog 1, dog 2 and dog 3. And dog, that is the class, have some fields, that means properties, and some methods, that means functions. So properties, that means fields, are the breed, size, color, age. This is the basic properties of dog. Similarly, the what methods we are used in the class dog, and that is defined here: eat, run, sleep, name. So here the dog is a class which have some fields or properties and methods. And now whenever we create the object dog 1, dog 2, dog 3, that means for dog 1, that one, dog 2 and dog 3, we have the different types of dog here. They are the object, but they follow all the basic properties of class dog: breed, size, color, and its methods: eat, run, sleep, name, etc. So these are the two very good example of how we define class and how we create its object. Now next, in syntax form, we can create class and object. Here we again give two example. One, student, the class name is student and its properties are student id, student name, student marks, and similarly it's have some methods: the number of hours it study, the total marks he gets, or what grade he get. So these are the methods and these are the properties, and the student name is the class of the name. Similarly, we can create another object, bank account. It have two variables or properties or data members or state, that is account number and account type, and there are three methods or function or behaviors. These are amount of withdraw, amount deposit, and amount closure. So these are the two very good example of how class can be created. So now whenever we go to the Java programming language, we have to define the class. The basic syntax of the class definition is we have to use the keyword class, and after that the name of the class and the field declaration and method declaration. What are the field declaration and method declaration? Which already defined in our class concept. That is, the field declaration or variable declaration are such: account number, account type, and method declaration is account, amount withdrawal, amount deposit, amount closure, like that. So these are the example. Here we use the class vehicle. So before we write down the class in our programming language, we use public class. Public is the access modifier and the class is a keyword. So public class, the class name, that means this is the user defined or the name given by us. So vehicle, so vehicle have the field declaration or field member or member variables, that is that vehicle have doors, speed and color. So the three variables, that is doors, number of doors, it is an integer variable. I will define these things, integer, string, later on. Let's number of doors, that means that is the integer value, so that's why we use the integer variable. Similarly speed also the kilometer per hour, and that is also an integer variable. And the color, which color the vehicle have, so on that case we use the string value. So this is the declaration of field variables, and now using these field variables we use the method, and the method is here run. So method is declared in such a way: public void run under bracket, second bracket, and that is the body of run. So here the void and public also a access modifier. We will define what is private and what is public later on. Void, that means the run method doesn't return any output, any return type, that is why you use the void, and run is the name of the methods. So this is the definition of method inside the class. And finally the class is closed by using the second bracket, end second bracket. So public class name, the declaration of field variable, the definition of methods or declaration of methods, and the second bracket is closed. This is the syntax of class in Java. Now the syntax for objects in Java. We know object is created from a class, that is object is the instance of a class. So in Java we use new keyword to create a new object. Suppose a class is student, so student is defined here, the student name, after that it have some field variables and methods. Whenever we define this class student, now we create a object student1. So student1 is the object. So how we define the class name student1 is equal to new student constructor. I will define later on what is the definition of the constructor of the same name of class. So to declare a object, to create an object, we use such syntax, that is the class name, object name, keyword new, and then the constructor of same class name. So student1 is equal to new student under first bracket and semicolon. Similarly another example is given here, the rectangle myRect is equal to new rectangle constructor. So these are the two examples how we create an object. So now we already learned how to create or how to define class and how to define its object. The syntax already given. So whenever we learn details, we also do such practical classes in our system. We will try to differentiate what is class and what is object. Now class is a collection of similar object. So class is a collection of similar object, whereas object is the instance of a class. Class is a conceptual or template or blueprint or user defined data type. So it's a conceptual concept, whereas object is real. We can create 2, 3 or many more objects from a particular class having the field variable and methods. Now show class is a conceptual and object is real. Class, no memory is allocated for class. Class is just a theory, is a concept, so no memory space is allocated for a class. But whenever we create an object from a class, each object had its own memory. Class can exist without any object as it is a concept, but object can't exist without a class. So whenever we create create object, we must have to define the class first, because object will come from that particular class. And the fifth differentiation is that class does not have any value associated with the field. It's simply a concept, whereas every object had its own value associated with the fields. So this is the basic difference of object and class. Now after going through the total concept, we will going to our practical class. So how practical class will be? Now to learn the details of this programming concept, we use the Java compiler Blue Java. Double click the Blue Java icon, and after that the Blue Java project window will be open. Our first objective to create a small program. How to create such program? We first go to the project and create a new project. Now save the project in a particular location. Let's Java Pro is my project. So Java project is created. Now we have to create a class. Whenever we going to create a new class, first such window will be open, and then you have to create the name of the class. Suppose our name of the class is std, student, and we use the language Java, and now it's a class type, that is why its type is class, and we start. Now we get such a class type menu here, that is the student. And now whenever we want to open the student, we will click it and we will find the total definition of the class student. Here for Blue Java is used for students, so that's why it is already written some template format how the object will be created. By default its access modifier is public. After that we use the keyword class, and the name of the class is student, and inside that we will get a member variable that is defined here, and the member functions. So which we already say that class have field declaration and method declaration. Here it is. This is the field declaration and this is the method declaration. Now we will later discuss about this constructor. Constructor are class inside the some functions inside the class of same class name, that is std, and this is also an std. So constructor is a method which already created inside the class. Now our objective to create a class student. So first we have to erase all the program. Okay, now we have to write down here. We have to first define the member variable. Suppose int x and y. These are two member variable, and now we have to create the methods. Suppose we use the method add. So in method we define such a way. Here in add we will get the result of addition x plus y. So the result will be sum s. So in add method we can define s equals to x plus y, and simultaneously we can display our result. Suppose x, we assign the value 10 to x and assign 5 to y. That means the x have the value 10 and y have 5. Now the sum s is equal to 15. So we can display the result. System dot out dot print ln under bracket result is plus is semicolon. So we will get such a result from here. So if we run this function, we will get the result. Now we define the object inside the class. Now the name of the class is std. Now object is student1 or obj1 equals to new keyword and std constructor. Okay, sorry, we have to use the second bracket here. And also say Now we use the methods public void add t. Suppose this is the addition of a two number integer variable x and y, and the result will be s. Now we create an object obj1 of class s. Object1 of class std. Now whenever we create the object1, our next activities is to access that particular method by object1. That means obj1 dot, the method is that one, copy and paste and semicolon. Object1, this is dot 1. Now estimate. Now we are creating an object1 of class std with using the keyword new, and object1 will access the member methods, that is the add t, which will display the result of sum x plus y. But before that we have to do one thing, that our program will be run the main function. So we have to define the main function clearly. The main function how defined? Public static void main under bracket, and inside the main function we create an object1 of class std using the new keyword new and constructor std under bracket, and after that we access the methods add t of class std by object1. So object1 will access the method add t, and that will display the result. So now we compile the project. Yeah, our project is ready. Now how we get the output? Where my our project? Just a minute. This is our project. This is our class. Now we want to open the class. We have to run the void main, because void main function is the main function where the total syntax will be run. So the result is 15. That means this result given by object1 and which is defined in class std. So this is all about the class and its object and how object access the member function or methods and variables from a particular class. So we can create another object also in same way, that is this is object2. Now object2 can also access the same class and its methods. Just a minute. In such way, we just use this is object2. or if we use another methods here, that is it's a multiple mul, and the result will be here in this variable m, and m equals to x multiplied by y. So m into y, and the output will be get m, and we use for object2 to access the function mul, we will give output of multiplication. So object1 for addition and object2 for multiplication. Let's see what happened. This is the result. Now clear and try once again. This result from object1 and this result from object2. So we can clarify here also. Just a minute. This result is from object1, and now this is from 2, and now it will be clear for everyone. Object1 and object2. Just a minute, we will find the result once again. This result is, that means addition, object1 from object1, that is 15, and this is multiplications. Just a minute, we again open the program, and this is for m. Compile again, and let's find the output. Clear, cut down. This is the